Yeah, there's video evidence. So for your listeners, I live in Moscow, Idaho. It's a blue dot in a red state, and it's run by liberals, largely, basically a liberal cult of from the mayor down, and even including the city prosecutor. I mean, they're all in bed at some level together, and coordinating and scheming against the conservative citizens in our town. And in 2020, when the pandemic happened, Shane, you might remember this too, but when the pandemic happened in 2020, I think it was March 20th. It was either March 20th or 25th. My dates, I can't quite recall. Our mayor, signed a health emergency order that shut down downtown before we had one case in town. We didn't have nothing in town. Shut down all these downtown businesses. And he would go out and play golf at Elks Lodge 3 miles outside of town and drink beer with his buddies and defy his own health order. But he could defy it because
he would attend multiple people weddings, like hundreds of people at a wedding.
Yeah. He officiated a wedding during his health emergency order where he wasn't wearing a mask and not standing 6 feet apart. It's just, liberal cult hypocrisy. And so he shut down downtown March 20th. Well, in April, we gave my church, my community, I was running for a county commissioner. I gave the city, a couple of weeks to try to figure things out for themselves. And then I was already emailing city council saying, you can't do this. This isn't right, that kind of thing. And then in April, I led an open up business rally at City Hall. And we had about 200, 300 people at that open up business rally. And they were coming down from Coeur d'Alene. They were coming up from Lewiston. People were frustrated. And so we started protesting and actively trying to put pressure on them to get them to relent on their shutdown orders. And then, of course, the governor's shutdown orders became on top of that. So the mayor put in their shutdown orders first, and then the governor, I think 5 days later, something like that, put in his statewide shutdown orders, constitutional shutdown orders, because Governor Brad Little, really is kind of a corporatist, governed more by kind of corporate interest than actually conservative principles. And so that's what was driving him. Our local city council was being driven more by the liberal agenda, liberal view of the pandemic. And then July 1st, July 2nd, our mayor signed a health order kind of extending that initial March 20th order and including adding you needed to wear a mask outside in public where you could not stand 6 feet apart. Talking about it now, it's actually, 3 years later, it's very crazy.
I'm sorry. It's so hard to believe that we let it happen. Okay. Because I want to make sure, Gabe, we'll continue your story, but I want to make sure that we call these people out. Okay. So who was the mayor of Moscow at that time?
Yeah. So that was Mayor Bill Lambert. And Mayor Bill Lambert had been mayor for, I think, going on 2 terms now. And then the chief of police that was kind of presiding over so he would send cops in downtown with clipboards walking around, making sure people were standing 6 feet apart or wearing a mask. It was weird watching cops just walk downtown, just trying to be a presence regarding the mask mandate.
It felt like a police state. It felt like a police state.
Oh, well, and it just sounds like a police state. And by the way, it doesn't work to say you're just following orders. If those police officers are violating your constitutional right, and they know it, and I'm sure many of those police officers did, it doesn't work to just say you're following orders. It doesn't. Yeah. And these people should be held accountable. Okay, Gabe, so go on with your story.
Well, and what I found out after the fact in all this is there's a lot of businesses supporting and encouraging, a lot of restaurants in downtown supporting, encouraging, and asking the mayor to shut down downtown. Because they wanted all the businesses to be shut down downtown because they didn't want the one restaurant open to make money. So restaurant owners were emailing and writing letters to the mayor to continue with the shutdown. And then
why do you that's the first time I've heard it. Do you think they just didn't want to work or what?
I think some of them were very fearful, but at the same time, it's like if you want everybody to be with you in it, you don't want to be doing this. You don't want to shut down your restaurant by yourself. because it looks a certain way. But if you get everyone to shut down the restaurant, then it's much better for you individually. But I think later you connect the dots on all this. All these restaurants. I mean, Casa Lopez got over, I think, about $200,000 in stimulus money from the shutdown. They made bank on this. I was going to Casa Lopez buying food, thinking I'm helping them, and come to find out, you could pull the data, you could pull the stimulus money and who got it. And all these restaurants that were happy with the shutdown, I thought we were supporting them. They ended up making tons of money off it, and so I just have made different decisions now on what restaurants I go to. And each city council member, I think there's 3 or 4 city council members that made tons of money off the stimulus money. Art Bedke, our current mayor, Brandy Sullivan made, I think she made over $150,000 on all this. I think Gina Teresa, her and her husband got stimulus money. So they all voted to shut down downtown, and we lost 3,000 jobs in the first 2 months of the shutdown here in Latah County. Shutdown happened in March. By May or June, we lost about 3,000 jobs in our small county of about 40,000 people. Excuse me. Insane. So the shutdown happened in July. I know no one wants to talk about this. No one in our town. It's a liberal cult. They just want to act like nothing happened, and they don't want to talk about